All right, everyone. Here we are again. It is From the Margins with my great friend, James Auffant. Jimmy, hello. Good to see you. Let's just jump right into it. It's been a hell of a week.
Hey, Tuesday was so blue that Bluey even got scared as how blue it became. So, wow, this is really blue. Uh, and it was not only the two governors and the mayor of New York. Uh, the the attorney general of Virginia should have never been reelected. Let's call it like it is. Those
Just
texts did not help him, but
that's
she got
good.
he got on her coattail and got 51%, and he's still
Yes.
the attorney general. Uh, and it went, and now people just voted Democrat. In Philadelphia, we got the four judges confirmed, and
Yeah.
everything looked great. It was a great night for everybody, but I have one thing I want to say to Mr. Van Jones, who was on CNN together with your friend from Chicago. Oh my God, he was in Obama's campaign. Oh,
Right. Yes. 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 I
okay.
know. Yes.
Look, I'm going to say
Excellent.
Axela. He
Yes.
has a weird last name, not like us that we have a font or a Washington. Those names everybody knows.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, they came after Mandani's speech and said that they were disappointed because he could have taken the chance to reconciliate with the others. He could have taken this opportunity to bring in those people who campaign against him, and that the statement that he hopes this is the last time that he pronounces the name of Mario Cuomo, and is wishful that he has a great retirement in private life. It, they did not appreciate it. They thought he should be more reconciliated. Van Jones, let me remind you one thing. This is to you, Van, because you brought it up. You know that your party, spend money calling him a Muslim. Very racist for a Democrat to do that, but they did that. You spend money calling him a young, inexperienced person. You called him a socialist. You called him everything you could. You did some really dirty campaigning. I thought that was a Republican thing, but apparently the establishment and the Democratic Party has no problems doing that. And yet, Van Jones, you expected this young man to say, "Okay, you treated me like shit, but I'm going to be the bigger person in this case." Van, uh, very respectfully, politics in this country has changed, and who
Yes.
changed it was Donald Trump, who called a war hero not a hero. He has insulted everybody he can. He basically even insults his own party. He's now in war with the head of the Republican Party in the Senate because he will not eliminate the filibuster rule. He has treated people with total and complete dismay. He basically got angry with Canada and gave a tariff simply because they put out an ad with Ronald Reagan saying that tariffs were not good for the economy. That was his rationale. So basically, these are different times. If you're going to treat somebody with disrespect, like your party did, Ben Jones, if you're going to lie about somebody like your party did, and if you're going to treat somebody simply because of a religious belief the way your party did, don't expect them to embrace you. You act with decency, and you will receive decency. You act disrespectfully, and you will receive disrespect. This bullshit of uh, uh, Michelle Obama, when they go low, we go high. Bullshit that no longer works in politics.
Out the
People
door.
like a leader who insults the other leader and who fights for what he believes in or she believes in, and that's the way you gain respect now in politics. Now, Mr. Olakos, I have something for you too. You wanted him to be the bigger man. You know who should have been the bigger man in this whole thing and was very petty and was completely disrespectful and disappointed me to no avail? Mr. Barack Obama. You were in New Jersey campaigning for sure.
Right.
That's an hour away from New York. An hour away and in a plane. And if you take a helicopter across and go to Manhattan, it's 20 minutes. Okay. Did you go into New York? No. Did you endorse Mr. Mamdani as a Democratic candidate? No. Did you help his campaign? No. You helped Jones in Virginia. You helped the candidate for governor in Virginia and the candidate for governor in New Jersey, and you helped the 4 judges get elected in Philadelphia. You disrespected your party's nominee. Let's call it as it is. This is your party's nominee.
Yeah.
You should have said, okay, I'm here for you. No, you did not show up. You did not campaign. And when you saw how low your party went, you said nothing. So when they go low, we go high. Well, apply it to yourself, Barack, because your party did some really low campaigning. Oh, these were PACs. Bullshit. We know where these PACs come from, and we know, especially when they're pushing Mario Cuomo. They were not pushing the Republican, and Adams was already out of the race. So basically, we know who they're pushing. And with all due respect to you, I'm extremely disappointed in your lack of a backbone. Now, I've said that and got it off my chest. Look, I'm extremely happy that despite how stupid the Democratic Party worked in New York, to see a victory of the type that we saw. We saw a victory with a candidate winning by with 1 million votes in an election, off-year election on a Tuesday, where, by the way, New York, you had to go to work and come back, and yes, you had early voting, and yes, you had voting by mail, but winning significantly. Granted, I've been told, and this is true, that running against a sex offender is not that difficult, but yet still, he won significantly. He showed a lot of you 3 things. And this is something that is interesting at the hypocrisy of the Democratic Party.
Okay.
What 3 things that the New Jersey, Virginia, and New York campaign had in common?
You had 3 unconventional candidates, definitely with Mamdani, whose policy platform was very progressive. I think you could characterize Sherrill and Spanberger as center left, but overall, Jimmy, they talked about affordability. They talked about
Bingo. That was the one thing in common, because one was moderate left, and I would agree with that. But I would not say that Mamdani was moderate left. I would not call him that. Call him a lot of things, but moderate left, I would not call Mamdani.
Sherrill and Spanberger moderate,
Yes.
left, but definitely very progressive Mamdani.
And to be quite honest and fairness, the first person who's been discussing this since the primaries was Mamdani. He won on affordability.
Yeah.
Why do I bring this up? Last time around, what was the platform of the Democratic Party with Kamala Harris? Don't vote for them because they're evil. Don't vote for them because they're weird. Everything is fine. Don't change your vote. Well, really, everything wasn't fine, but I know you did not want to criticize Biden's administration, but it's time to get out and do two things. Let's discuss affordability, and let's discuss the fuck up of the Democrat Party last time they were in power. In a minute, we had a person who was incompetent, who was senile, who Mayorkas never got specific directions of what to do with the frontier. He never got instructions. He never did. Was that done on purpose? I doubt it. I think it was done because basically Biden had some other priorities and was senile and couldn't. He needed to keep like a list of things he needed to do, and I don't think he did a good job of that. Mayorkas has said in more than one interview he never received directions from the White House.
Period. But wasn't Harris the border czar?
Entitled, yeah. But she cannot sneeze without Biden's permission.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
You create these positions and you make them. It's like right now, we have a border czar who follows the instructions of Donald Trump. He does not have full discretion. And neither did. And anyway, with all due respect to everybody, Kamala, you could give her that job. That's way above a pay grade and her mental ability. So it was not a good fit. Look, did we fuck up on the border? Yes, we did. Why? Well, because we had a senile president, and let's admit it. But this is not going to happen again. And start changing our tone, talking about affordability and how we are going to resolve it, and stop lying. Like, for example, in Puerto Rico today, there was some people commenting that Donald Trump is going to insist that there's no vote by mail, and somebody said, the only two places he could order that stop is Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico. Other than that, the rest of the 50 states are going to do whatever they want. So basically, and he has not ordered that for Puerto Rico or D.C. So basically, at this point, it's more of a talking thing. People want to hear about how they're going to afford their car, how they're going to afford sending their kids to college, how they're going to afford the food to put on their table, how they're going to afford a roof over their head. Look, the American dream of having a home is gone. We all know that. Those of us who are of a certain age that we are lucky enough to be able to afford a house, we're doing great. We are. But to think that everybody out there could go and buy the American dream, no. Cost of food, cost of gas, cost of medicine, cost of health, which are two different costs. One is seeing your doctor, and the other one is buying the medicine he prescribed you. Just so you know where I'm coming from, is outrageous. You elected a person who said, "I will fix this day one. I will get you. The medicines will be so cheap that you could not worry about it. Gas is going to be so. Food, none of them has happened." His big new thing is that to reduce the price of beef, he's going to bring beef from Argentina. That's 28,000 miles away. I just hope on the road in the ship that the freezer doesn't break down, because if it does, we're fucked. This is how we got into this trouble, buying things from outside of us. This is how hypocritical and much of a liar Donald Trump is. We want to produce everything here. We want to bring everything back. By the way, my solution to reduce the price of beef is to import beef. Is that a contradiction of terms? Does that make sense to you? Because to me, it doesn't. But it was an interesting week. And this is where I'm going to ask you a question. How do you feel about those who are claiming that the Democrats have an easy way to win the midterms based on what happened last Tuesday, or do you still think they have to work it hard to get it done?
Oh, Jimmy, I can answer this very quickly. No, it's not going to be easy for the Democrats. There should be some celebrations for the Democrats. However, the midterms and the politics of the midterms are completely different than what we saw on Tuesday, November 4th, 2025. Back in 2027, you had Nordstrom, you had Blasio in New York, you had Murphy, I believe, in Jersey, winning, all Democrats. And look where we are right now. So the lesson to take from this is that there's really nothing related, very little related to what happened on November 4th, election night, to what's going to happen on November of 2026, the election night, that night. You still have to go after your votes. Every candidate is different than a Mamdani or a Sherrill or even a Spamberger. The Democrats have to work on messaging. Their messaging work, affordability. Stick with it. Now go after your votes. That's it, Jimmy.
Well, my thing is reverse of everybody. I'm going to ask you this question in a different way.
Okay.
2026, the Republicans' campaign is that Mamdani is the future of the party, and that he's a communist, and that Democrats are communists, and that Democrats are not good for the country. And let me attack everything I can about the Democrats. They're going to make Puerto Rico and Washington D.C. a state to take over the House and the. Look what Newsom did in California, and by doing that, he took over the House, U.S. House of Representatives, which they'll forget about what they did in Texas and other states. It's like that. Do you think that will be a winning combination?
No, no, Jimmy. Emphatically, no. It boils down to what's that saying, Jimmy, that we know so well? The economy's stupid, and Trump is on the ropes. I still think that the Republicans and Trump are winning because they still hold control the levers of government. However, with the Supreme Court ruling or its decision on the tariff case will play an incredible impact on the midterms. This decision will determine whether or not Trump is, legally, constitutionally allowed to levy tariffs without the consent or without lawmaking by Congress. They can hoot and holler about, Mamdani being the future of the Democrats. Okay, check. Sure. They can hoot and holler about Newsom redistricting, gerrymander California in a manner that, helps Democrats and, it disenfranchises conservatives. Okay, check. It doesn't mean anything if people are hurting and suffering economically. And like you said at the beginning of the show, if folks can't put food on the table, they can't afford to send their kids to, trade school or college. If they're losing their jobs or the prospects for a job, or to buy a home or to afford even an apartment is just not there, all that doesn't matter.
You have the point. And the point that most people won't discuss is now let's take the other. Democrats can talk about affordability. They can.
Yeah.
Because they're not in control of the government. They have not created any policies that have created this problem. Republicans cannot talk about affordability. They really can't. They really can't. Why? Because they control the House, they control the Senate, they control the presidency. If there's a problem with affordability, it's your problem, and you haven't dealt with it effectively now. Now, if I was the Republicans, what I would do is I was trying to do something about affordability and make sure that when the election comes around 2026, prices are down. But they can't. They're too corrupt to do that. They take money from all these special interest groups, and they're not going to, go against President Trump. They're going to go down losing the House and possibly, this is something that might sound weird, and possibly the U.S. Senate, but they won't contradict Donald Trump. They will not do anything that would cause them to break away from the grip he has on them. And that is the biggest problem in my mind that Republicans have, is that Donald Trump says fart, and they say how loud and for how long. Because they don't have a backbone. And because to a certain degree, if he goes and anoints somebody else as candidate for governor or for House or Senate, you're done. And it has happened in the past, so let's stop pretending that that's an illusion. It's happened. As a matter of fact, right now we're about to have a moron who's a great congressman, according to many people. I don't know what he's done, but I'll give him this credit, whose wife promotes eliminating public schools and creating only charter schools in the state of Florida as the anointed candidate by President Trump.
Yes. Representative Donalds.
Yeah. And there are some Republicans running against them. Question is, can they win a primary when they're not Donald Trump's candidate? That's going to be a good question.
Mm-hmm.
And at least the Republicans are smart enough, not as dumb as Nikki. God, is she dumb? That she wants an open primary. Republicans don't want an open primary. They want their militants, their people in line. You do what Trump says. You go in there, you march, and you elect Donald as your candidate for governor. Now let me ask you a question. This would be an interesting thing. Yes, and this is where I find it interesting. Do you realize that if Donald wins the Republican nomination, and that means wins the Democrat nomination, we can make a bold prediction? You know what that is?
Yes, sir. Florida will have its first black African
Go.
American governor
We
ever.
don't know which party, but
But I do want to add to what you were saying about Byron Donalds, Representative Donalds' wife, advocating for privatization of the public school system. If when I heard that, I was like, okay, let's peel back some layers here, and this goes back to then Representative Congressman Ron DeSantis favoring and promoting heavily school choice, particularly in minority communities. And as the analysis came back, one of the things that helped Ron DeSantis in winning against Andrew Gillum was the fact that members of minority communities, like African American community, liked the idea, voted for the idea of school choice. And we saw later legislation pass, and this was Ron DeSantis's first term. Legislation passed, increasing the voucher amount for parents to send their children to charter schools, private schools, religious schools, whatever, and allowing the expansion of the eligibility to anyone, any parent, any family. I think we've already seen the privatization of public education. We're just waiting for the next shoe to drop.
you have a point, but also there's a reality that we don't talk about. The idea that all private schools are good and that all charter schools are well managed is naive.
Suspect.
That's like saying that anybody who prepares a hamburger is a great. It's going to be great. I've had some bad hamburgers in my life. Trust me. I've had some weird hamburgers in my life. Trust me. So, no. I'll give you an example. I have a client of mine who basically the vouchers have screwed him over. And I mean, major league. Major league. And you're going to say, how? Well, he was in special classes in public schools. He was struggling in special classes in public schools. And he was put in a religious, and I say religious because it doesn't have a denomination. Okay, so I'll leave it at that. School. It's just called a Christian school. Okay. And all of a sudden, this kid has A's and B's. You put him in front of a judge and ask him to write his name. He could write his name, and you could ask him how much is A plus 14, and he'll say 18. You could ask him to write simple words as possible, and for the record, he's 14, so it's not like he was 8 or 9. So because he was 14, he couldn't spell it. He just couldn't spell it. Yet he has A's and B's in English. Math, he has A's and B's. Basically, the way they're motivating these parents to go there is, look, we're going to give them a better concentration of teaching and stuff like that. By the way, for those of you who do not know this, in private schools in Florida, teachers do not have to be certified. They don't. Anybody can be a teacher, even with a high school diploma. Just so you know that.
That's right. Their requirements are not the same as in the public school system.
Okay. So when people tell me whatever, it is not the reality. So privatization does not mean that schools are going to be better. I'm going to say this as a product of private and public schools myself. My best and saving factor was my third grade teacher, Mrs. Martin, who figured out what was Jimmy Auffant's problem. Jimmy Auffant's problem was that she would take a subject and start it on Monday, and Jimmy Auffant was very concentrated and working on it. Tuesday, she would bring certain things about, and Jimmy Auffant was very concentrated. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, she was basically repeating the same lecture or school plan or whatever you want to call it. By Thursday, Jimmy Auffant was completely bored. He knew it. He wanted to move on to something different, but because he was being pulled back because the lecture was for the whole week the same subject. And he was just bored, and he would just stand up, go to the back of the room, pick up a book, and she's in her lecture, and he's reading something completely different because he's bored. And basically, at the end of the week, Jimmy Auffant will pass the test with flying colors. So she realized it wasn't that I was dumb or disruptive, it's that I was bored. So basically, what she did is on Wednesdays, she would take something that had to do with it and go in with me and another young kid that was in my class and give us a special assignment, put us in a corner, and we would excel. That is a teacher. Yes. And I ended up graduating 6th grade with honors. My first and second grade teachers wanted me expelled. Literally, they wanted me expelled. I was a troublemaker. What I'm trying to say is when people tell me that private schools are the way better than public schools, I'm not sure that's true. It's all about who is that teacher in front of you. And I'm sure if I ask you, there's a teacher that impressed you in your life. And you can tell me who and what grade. Right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, without a doubt. I can't tell you their their last name because it's been so long, and way too many parties in college. However, I did have a eighth grade social sciences teacher that just really got me excited about the world we live in and geography. Mr. Diggs, one of the very few male teachers that I had in, I think, fifth grade. That was tough. He was the father figure, at school. It was like a nice transition from home to school because I had a very strict and very loving father at home, and very strict and very loving, father figure teacher at school who wanted to see his students succeed in phonics. I'm very conscious about how I speak now, and sometimes I lapse. But however, Mr. Diggs definitely gave us empowered us to be better speakers and understanding phonics and the English language. There was Sister Carol, who later became Miss Carol after she left the nunnery. She was great at what she did in math, and yeah, I remember a lot of very good teachers.
I'm not going to give my teacher's name because one of my secret things, if I screw up with my password, is who was my favorite teacher, and I don't want to put that on the air. So,
Yes.
for those of you who never gone through the system, one of the questions is who was your favorite teacher?
I never used that because I knew I'll never remember all of them. And I've got favorite teachers,
Nah,
in
dude, I
college
remember.
and everything.
Yeah, no. As a matter of fact, I have a friend of mine who basically got in trouble because he picked the question if he remembered the name of his first girlfriend. And apparently, of all the girlfriends he told his wife, that was one was not included. In his mind, he did. It was not that he was 9 years old. I mean, yeah, 9 years old, and he had a girlfriend at 9, and technically that was his first girlfriend. I mean,
Yeah, I always remember the first one.
oh yeah, you always remember the, yeah, especially if they don't have brothers.
There you go. One line of resistance eliminated.
Yeah, I've always found that interesting. A friend of mine, I used to say, "Well, what about her? She has 3 brothers. I'm not messing with her." Yeah.
Good point.
So yes, let me again before I forget. This Thursday, it was official. Mayor Demings has announced that he's going to run for governor of the state of Florida. Uh, Now you understand why the corrupt Attorney General of Florida, who, by the way, was never elected by us, he was never elected. He was appointed by Mr. DeSantis and confirmed in the correct procedure, but he was never elected by us. And the CFO, who was never elected by us, but confirmed and appointed by corrupt DeSantis, uh, came and said all these things bad about Orange County. And when the press asked him, well, can you be more specific? That was in April of this year. We're still waiting for an answer. It hasn't come through. And the reason is because I can't be specific. Is what they were
What?
trying to do is scare Demings from running away uh, and from running for governor. The rumor for governor for Demings, if between you and me, it's been for the last 2 years. You would say,
Right.
yeah. So it's not like,
I,
ooh,
there's
where did this
nothing.
come from? No.
However, Jimmy,
Yeah.
just about maybe 2 hours ago, the CFO, Mr. Egolia, was here, had a press conference here in Orlando to specifically talk about the audits that the FAFO office, the CFO's audit division, made here in Orange County, and specifically pointed out Orlando. I haven't viewed the recording yet. However, what part I did see, he pulled up a placard, a bulletin board, and on it showed in the first slot it showed Mayor Demings, and underneath was $100 million wasted or something to that effect. And then it showed the mayor of, I believe, Gainesville. I think Gainesville, and I think also Jacksonville was on there. But again, I haven't watched the full video. However, again, he was in town, and
Okay, did he say that $100 million and what was it wasted? Or
I'm
just
sure he
everything was
was going
wasted?
to, but I don't know exactly. I don't know exactly what the details are yet. And I was hoping it would get started before we started our recording, but I didn't get to it in time.
Okay, we could talk about it next week. Knowing him, I would not put too much credence into whatever comes out of his mouth. We know he's as corrupt as DeSantis and the Attorney General, so I don't trust him as far as I can throw. Now, having said that, we know that we had our party on the 30th of October. As of today, the map is official. The Office of the Supervisor of Election is working with it. And yes, some people have put in their names as candidates. We know that. Uh, we have a Shakespeare in District 7. I say that because I find that last name fascinating. We have an actor in District 7 too. That is not Shakespeare. Uh, and we have some other people. Now, uh, and we have rumors of other people who are going to run, and we talk to them, and they've told us yes, they're going to run, but they have not made it official. There's no paperwork submitted saying, "Hey, here is my name, and here is the requirement." So cannot, they can campaign, they cannot fundraise, and in these days of fundraising, I'm not sure how it works out. It's interesting that uh, in the city of Orlando, also we had a recent election. Somebody told me that uh, the results were predictable. Yeah, really, when your biggest opposition is somebody facing felony charges and who everybody believes is corrupt, and you beat her, not that significantly, you beat her, but I'm not gonna say it was a was it a double digit or not?
Um, I cannot. I don't. I don't think so. I don't think it was double digit. I
So
could check though.
I mean, it was not that close, but you really, for me, you're running against a person who's pending trial for felony charges, who was removed because of the felony charges. Who, if you elect them legally, I'm not sure if the governor could say, hey, you're pending criminal charges. I'm removing you and appointing somebody else, or calling a special election, uh, if that could happen. But realistically, she was unable to raise any money, seriously, because of that. And basically, uh, the turnout was kind of low. But when you're saying, hey, we won that race, yeah, but who are you running against? Yet
I
a previous person was in office, but still somebody who,
I do have those numbers for you, Jimmy.
okay,
Shamrose defeated the former commissioner Regina Hill by nearly doubling the number of votes as Commissioner Hill had. Shamrose had about 51.8%, and former Commissioner Hill had 32.7%. So about 1,225 votes Shamrose to 773 votes for former Commissioner Hill. Total votes cast in this particular commissioner race, 2,363 votes, Jimmy. That's horrible, horrible. And it was the lowest voter turnout amongst all three of the city commissioner
That's
races.
true. That's true.
Hmm.
And considering who backed Rose, I would have thought she did better. And 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 the fact that there was what, four candidates?
There were three candidates. Luana Gelzer was the third candidate, and she had 365 votes for about 15.45%.
One of the former candidate for Orange County Commissioner District 6.
That's correct. Perennial candidate.
Yeah, yeah. That's going to be interesting. You can't
Yeah.
get out your people to vote. It's not going to happen.
Yes.
But
And
it is going to be an interesting thing to see how the city shapes up. And you know what's really interesting about the city is one question. You know that Buddy has not said he's not running.
he said that. I remember at a summit recently in regards to the economic health of Central Florida, when he was asked specifically, pointedly, about not running for office again in 2027. He really he dodged the question or the statement, and it's like, interesting. Granted, maybe he's just like tired of the question or the statement being asked,
Well,
and that what he
but
said in the
I
past.
don't remember him saying, "Hey, I'm not running." I don't remember him ever saying that.
Agreed. There was some internal document that went around City Hall allegedly, and whether it's been authenticated or not is up in the air as far as I'm concerned. But it said that the mayor was not going to be around in 2027. This is his last go around. However, the context of the letter and why it was sent out was questionable in itself. It's
And
like,
it
why?
was not sent out by him.
Exactly.
You can say whatever you want, but you don't talk for me. So it's interesting because that would be an interesting race, Buddy and Madame Mayor.
Not a mayor. Madani Escamilla. That's a joke about it.
That would be an interesting race. But
Yes.
and
And
because in 26, we're gonna have some interesting race. I'm going to make a bold prediction. I think that Demings could take out Jolie
sure, I think so.
easily, and that would be an interesting race. And if they run a good campaign,
Hmm.
Demings can win. He's not running against somebody who's really well known or liked.
That's true.
And I would just want to see Republicans be motivated to go out in 26 when Trump is not on the ballot, and that their biggest thing is to go out to vote for an African American man to be the governor of the state of Florida.
Hmm.
I'm not sure that would motivate them. What else is there in Florida on the ballot in 26?
Oh my goodness! From congressman to Senate, I believe that Senator Ashley Moody is running for a full term. You have CFO. I think you have just about every
You have
constitutional
CFO, you have
office.
Attorney General, you have all the congressmen are going to
Mhm.
be up for re-election. Yeah, uh, and that's fine. And the senators are going to be up for, some of them are going to be up for re-election. The,
Right.
the concern that I have is that we all know, and this is a known factor that nobody would argue, that in non-presidential elections, the turnout is lower.
Right. And many
So,
of the many of the decisions are made in the August primary here in Florida, when you have the school board races and the county commissioner races.
granted, even though being so many open seats in Orange County,
Yeah.
I think it's going to be more November.
Mhm.
Just be a pure number of candidates. I mean, right now, 7 has 4 candidates.
Right. Yep. I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, I believe four. Let me
How many does
confirm.
8 have?
Eight so far. We have only one confirmed candidate that has filed, and that is Tatiana Fernandez. The last I heard, she was from. She ran against or ran for the Democratic nomination against Corey Mills in 2024. And now she's moved on down to Orange County to run for the District 8 seat. So she's the only one who has filed for this particular seat.
District 2, how many do we have?
District 2, we have just one individual, Marcia Summerall, attorney. I believe there was another who had filed, but she may have reconsidered running. But right now, we just have one filed candidate, and we know that we'll expect more.
3,
Three, now technically, although the incumbent Myra Rebate is running for mayor and has filed to run for mayor of Orange County, her seat is not up until 2028. Therefore, we have who have filed for 2028. We have Nelson Bentecourt, who's run for District 3 before. We have Linda Stewart, who filed on October 10th, former State Senator Linda Booth. I'm sorry, Linda Stewart. Deborah Booth is her treasurer. We have Stephanie Ziegler, I am a advocate in the Hourglass District, who's filed for the seat. And we still have Gus Martinez, who filed in July. However, his intention is to run in District 8.
4, other than
Or we
everybody.
have only one individual. We had two individuals who left that race, and now we're just down to one. That would be Brian Jones. And the two that left who have withdrawn, Jermaine Hampton, and then, of course, Eric Gray, who filed for District 4, but now he has filed to face Erica Booth in House District 35.
Okay. And, okay, that will cover. Oh, District 6, how many candidates do we have?
And so far, only District 6, we have Commissioner Mike Scott.
Okay. It's going to be an interesting election here in Orange County.
Oh, a new name to add. I'm sorry, Jimmy. A new name to add. I forgot. Vicky Vargo, former Commissioner Vicky Vargo, has filed her intent to run for District 7. So make that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 individuals who have filed for District 7. And
Wow. Vicky, after the letter she sent us?
Yes.
It's public record. I mean, just go to the redistricting thing and ask for a letter from Vicky Vago, and it's right there. She put it in black and white. Literally, she put it in black and white. Okay.
Pretty much. Yes. Yes.
I mean that literally. Okay. Okay. Are we ready for the fuck ups of the week?
Before we do that, I think one of the bigger races that we may see that is going under the radar right now, but I know has started much conversation, is for school board chair. And going back to our conversation about, privatization of the public school system, we have Angie Gallo, who is a current school board member out of
She's a
District 1.
Republican.
Yes. And is she now? I got to look that up because I think she may be NPA now. But, she has her roots in, Republican politics. And she is facing another current school board member, and that's Alicia Bryant, the conservative firebrand from the middle of the county has filed for school board, and so it is causing all types of conversation in the public school arena.
Wow.
Yes, yes, indeed. It's
Okay. And for and
it's
for
the
mayor,
season.
you mentioned mayor. We have Mayra, Stephanie, Tiffany, Chris. Is his name?
Chris Messina, yes, he is still there, still hanging in there, and we have Randy Faust Jr., young man who has shown quite the spirit to run for county mayor, and he's thrown his hat in as of July of this year.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, and he's a Democrat, progressive.
Okay, good. With that in mind, let's start the fuck ups of the week.
All right, let's do this. Let's do this.
Okay, we're going to start this week with the Republicans. Look, it's kind of simple, but at the same time, it's kind of sad. Republicans have been talking about doing things, opening the government. You have a leader of the House who refuses to negotiate. And let's call it as it is. He refuses to negotiate. This is his bullshit song and dance. Well, the House passed the continuing resolution without any Democrat votes, and we sent to the Senate, and it's time for the people in the Senate just to accept things the way they are. You know how much of a lie that is, Mike? There's always been in American politics tradition, the House sends a bill to the Senate says, hey, can we do this? Change A, B, C, D, and that's what you call a joint session of people vote and work out the differences and try to convince something to work. If this is our continuing resolution, take it or leave it. No, we're not going to negotiate with you at all. Okay, we are not going to bring in the House and say, hey, the people in the Senate don't accept this. Let us prepare something different that we could work out. No, you keep the people not negotiating. Now you're going to say, well, what is the big House out of fuck up? It's because at the end of the day, Mike Johnson, you are the primary reason why most Americans think that the fault of the shutdown falls on you. And they're right. You won't sit down to negotiate. What are you so afraid of? That you don't have the directions from Donald Trump to do so? To the point that all he could think of is end the filibuster and just take and vote and do whatever you want, which is never going to happen? No. That is the fuck up of the week of the Republicans. Now, Democrats, you have a big one. You have a really big fuck up. The only old fart that's saying I'm out of here is Nancy Pelosi. Chuck Schumer wants to keep sucking on the TD. Mario Cuomo wanted to continue sucking on the TD. And all these people want to continue. So what did you do? You send a message to the youth and the liberals of your party. Go back, Cheryl, go back Spanberg. We will back the judges in Philadelphia. And if you kiss the ring, we will back you. But the most important city in the United States, New York, the most important mayor in the United States is the mayor of New York. You did not help. But if that was your sin, I could kind of live with it. I would have called you instead of fuck up, I would call you hypocrites. Because when I was in the party, there was a thing. We always always back our nominated candidates. So if the people picked somebody that I disliked, I was obligated to back that person. Well, in this case, they did not. But I wish I could say that was the gist of their fuck up. The gist of their fuck up is that they went and raised money with the rich and the powerful to disrespect their own candidate from their own party, picked by their own Democrats, calling him a Muslim, calling him a socialist, saying that that he was lying to them, that there was no way he could keep up with that promise, and going out and saying that he is dangerous for the Democratic Party, including Bill Maher, who's an idiot, said that this would be the end of the Democratic Party. Bill, learn something about politics. You think you know shit. Here is where the fuck up is. You have antagonized a young man who has shown you one thing that you can win with, which you copied from him. The affordability thing was started by him. You copied him. You modified it, and that's fine. That's your right to do so. But you've copied his model. Now that he got elected, the next day, he didn't wait 2 weeks or a week. Next day, he started working and said, here's my transaction committee. By the way, all women, all highly qualified. If you Google each one of them, they're extremely qualified. Okay?
Yes.
None of them are Democratic establishment. None of them. That's the other thing. And not all of them can be classified as socialists. As a matter of fact, there's a couple of them that I would call them moderates. Not moderates to the left. I would just call them moderates. But he's picking the best that there are, and he's showing you the way for your future. And what are you doing? You're trying to destroy your future. That's why you keep losing elections. Like it or not, 40% of Democrats identify themselves as progressive. Okay? Of those, 90% identify themselves as liberals. You want to kick us out of the party? Go for it. But if you kick the liberals, progressives out of the Democratic Party, you don't have a party. You have a group of people that could meet and talk bullshit, but you couldn't even get elected for a dog catcher in any city in this country. So this idea that we need moderates, yeah, it would be nice. But the truth of the matter is that moderates do not get the public, the people at meetings like OAC does, like Bernie Sanders does, like Mamdani does. So if you want to go centrist, you can do that. But look out for who you want. And for the record, your numbers. 1, Newsom. 2, AOC, a Puerto Rican woman. Holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's number 2. And not that far behind from Newsom, for the record. Not that far behind from Newsom. Okay? And third, it just shows you how much of an idiot Democrat could be, is Kamala. God, she just lost the last election. Why are you bringing back recycling somebody who cannot win a campaign and putting on number 3? But then again, Democrats have always had a wish of electing a woman president. Hope you can. Oh, I see. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, that's fine. With that, I'm going to invite you to hit those buttons, like or dislike. I don't care. I really don't. Leave me your comments. I like the fact that most of you are favorable comments. That shows that you like what I'm saying. And last but not least, subscribe. That also helps us. But we will be back next week, hopefully, and from the margins. This is James Auffant saying goodbye. David?
We'll see you the next time, Jimmy. And thank you to everyone for joining us from the Margins with James Auffant.
Take care.
Take care, Jimmy.
You too.